And then in the midst, we're dealing with Hayden getting her for college and just all of it. And Caleb said, I just think you need to just share like the things that are hard for you to pray about.
Wow.
And that's when I was like, you know what? The hardest thing for me is to acknowledge that every time I pray, I'm praying with an anxious heart. And
Wow.
how do I do that? So that's where it came about. And I was like, okay, I'm not doing that. And Caleb's like, no, stick to it. You need to share this. So that's how it came about.
It was phenomenal. Can you go back and just share a little bit of your story? Like, when did you notice? Because I think in your notes, and I heard you say, like, I wouldn't have considered myself an anxious person. And I actually don't consider you, I consider you one of my most grounding, peaceful friends. So the fact that you've dealt with this for so long surprised me. I knew it happened in moments, but can you go back? Like, when did you start noticing, like, I might have a thing with anxiety?
Yeah, I think it kind of started in college or
Yeah.
maybe college. Yes. All of a sudden I'd be like, my chest kind of hurts.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, okay, maybe it's this or that. And I know when I was younger, they were like, she has an irregular heartbeat. So I'm like, it's my irregular heartbeat. That's got to be it. So everything was my irregular heartbeat. And
Yeah.
then and I know I shared, but I thought God had brought me like an answered prayer through Caleb, actually. And then we broke up, and all of a sudden I'm in the hospital. And I'm like,
Wow.
what is going? I'm like, oh, my irregular heart. It's just
Yes.
going crazy.
Yeah.
And
And they're
then the
like, yeah, it's
doctors,
your
yeah.
heart. It's your heart.
I'm like, run another test, run another test. And then it was just the sobering, they just kept talking about anxiety. And I was like, this is not it. And actually, probably just in the last few years, have I been able to say that's what that was.
Mm.
Because anytime I've ever told the story, I leave out the part where they sent me home with a paper that said, like, this is anxiety. And I've just been like, oh, I was busy. I was
Yeah.
a little stressed, having a regular heartbeat, and just being able to say, like, I have an anxious heart because it brought me so much shame.
Yeah, and I love as your friend that we're like, "Caleb, you literally broke her heart and sent her to the hospital." He's like, "I didn't know."
Bless his heart.
It's so
Yeah.
helpful because I think people have always told me with my migraines, like, "Drink more water." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, I know." Like, there's a million things that trigger my migraines, and one of those is stress, and I can tell when I'm really worked up about something, I hate the word manifest, mine manifest and a headache, and so for
Right.
anxiety, I have a couple, we all deal with phases of it, but I think it's interesting that yours is actually a heart, like, beating like, I think I'm having a heart attack, and I think so
Right.
many people can relate to that. Some people have stomach pain, and so it's interesting that it's that powerful. So let's talk about just you as a pastor and as a Christian. I mean, your parents were missionaries like your whole life. Has this been something that you're like, Lord, am I praying right? Like, why am I still dealing with that? Has that been frustrating?
Yeah. And I know that people talk a lot about imposter syndrome. And
Yeah.
I think that's so real for me. Like, I see my friends that are like, to me, spiritual giants and other fellow pastors, and becoming a pastor as a woman was was a huge deal for me. Like, I just
Yeah.
thought, I just don't know that this is going to happen. And so then there's this part of like, I need to be way better than
Yeah.
I am. And so to me, like, having an anxious heart is a lack of faith. Like,
Mm,
that is where I've struggled. And over, like, through these last couple years, I keep coming back to that the voice of God does not sound like shame or
mm,
condemnation. And so if that's what I'm hearing, that's not the voice of God.
wow.
And so yeah, it's been really hard to say that I'm anxious
Yeah.
because I don't want to be that way.